fucking shit. We have so much to talk about, guys. Happy Loki Day to every single one of you guys. This is a full spoiler review for Loki episode 4. And if you're just like me and you're right here right now, there was a ton of stuff that just went down. And holy shit, my mind is quite blown. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. First, I got to see Black Widow early on Monday. Review's up right now. And now I'm seeing one of the best episodes so far for Disney Plus's TV shows when it comes to Marvel. And absolutely the best episode yet for Loki. We're going to have such a great conversation here, guys. If you guys are new here and you guys love talking Marvel content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below your guys' theories, your thoughts. The entire show just shifted and changed. And there's a lot of stuff going down now. I have no idea what's going on. I got my theories, but I'm probably going to be wrong. And I'm definitely going to need to hear your guys' thoughts for what I missed in this episode. Because absolutely, of course, coming off the cliffhanger last week, we see in Lamentus, it's falling apart. It's their final due. We see them sitting down, and once they touch hands, a Nexus Event starts forming. That allows them to find them, it opens up the doors, and they head through and they are captured. Lots of different things happen in here, and one of the things that we're going to start with in talking about this is Agent Mobius, of course, played by Owen Wilson, who we missed last week. We get more of him this week, and there's a lot to him this time. Of course, you know, he's taking after the events. He goes, I want to talk to Sylvie, the Lady Loki. Renslayer saying, nope, you're not allowed to. You need to go and interrogate your Loki. So, he gets frustrated by that. He goes and does what he needs to do. But at the same time, B19, I think is what they said, Hunter B19 is pretty much saying, did that Loki tell you anything, Bob? There's some nice little elements inside there because she saw, and that's something that I don't even think anyone in my comment section or even me were talking about that. Like the fact that B19 was also under that, and we didn't talk about that at all, that she might have seen some of those memories after those events. Now that's blown out the door, that is confirmed here. But for me, in this moment, what is one of the coolest things that we can possibly see is, of course, he sends Loki through that little time trap thing, and of course we get a little bit of the cameo from Lady Sif, who's also supposed to show up in Thor Love and Thunder, so that was a nice little introduction, finally getting her back in this world. Very small little cameo, but it was nice to see her show back up, because I've really much missed Lady Sif inside the world. I think she always brings such a great flair when showing up inside the Thor films. But nonetheless, here we go. There's so much, of course. That nice Loki banter between her and him was wonderful, and once Mobius comes in the picture and he starts actually interviewing him, Loki is playing to the T of who he actually is and trying to just, I'm just going to lie because that's what people think I am. Once he starts telling the truth, though, while Mobius doesn't come around yet, he tells Loki, hey, I get it, I get where you're coming from. Let's just kind of see where we can mix around here. And, of course, sends Loki back in there pretty much saying, I think you're lying. But it starts making him think, what is going on here? Which then teleports to him having that conversation with Renslayer later in the episode. And when they're kind of joking, they're like, hey, you did it. The timekeepers want you here. That way you can see them be pruned. And even in the beginning of the episode, of course, we had that little glimpse of the timekeepers for the very first time. And walking out, it was just wonderful to see all that. And we'll talk about that in a little second. I want to get all the Loki stuff out of the way. Or the Agent Mobius stuff out of the way. Seeing that, you see his hesitation. You see something is off within him. And Owen Wilson is playing this role up into such a fantastic way. And I found that to just be such a fascinating scene between him and Renslayer. And how they're just having this conversation. And, he goes, oh, well, what are you going to do with this new souvenir? She turns around, he grabs the thing, does not believe her at this point that there is more going about this, of why this hunter had passed away, why was she deceased, and of course goes and checks out the clip for herself and finds out the TVA has been lying to him. They have been lying to everyone, and he starts to finally believe. Loki goes and saves Loki from the little trap. They come out, and boom! They're there. And let's put a little pin in there right now before we get to what's going on. Let's go see what's going on with Sylvie right now, because in the beginning of the episode, we see Sylvie was taken as a child. She never got her actual life on Asgard, which again, we don't even know what the Nexus event that she might have created. We don't know if the TVA just took her because she's a variant of Loki and maybe hoped in recruiting her in the future. That is some of the stuff that very much breaks my heart in certain ways, and really it brings a lot of different conversations that can possibly be had here. And I think for me, the thing that I really loved about this is seeing that little background, especially last week, which was very much character piece, makes all of this more emotional than ever before. And I just love this episode. I am like absolutely fucking in love with Loki right now, especially after this one. You know, I've really much absolutely pretty much adored the show up to this point, but I am at that full point of loving it. And the fact that we have 2 weeks left of this, it is ramping up fast. And if it succeeds, if it ends on a grand series finale, then this will probably be the best show yet that Marvel has produced. And you guys know me. If you watch my episodes of WandaVision, you know how much I love the WandaVision, even though if the finale was not up to my liking. And I liked it, but could have been better. And Falcon Winter Soldier was enjoyable, but I definitely think it could have been better overall. Loki the script writing is so incredible. And the fact that the guy who wrote this script is doing Doctor Strange 2 just blows my mind even a little bit more. But going in there, you know, Hunter B-19 ends up going to talk to Sylvie. They have this conversation. She takes her to another world, and she pretty much shows her more memories and tells her, you are a variant like me. It kind of reminds me of the scene of, you are a toy from Toy Story. It fits so perfectly. And just that moment, again, was the turning point. Everything was the turning point. In many conversations, everyone was saying that episode 4 very much is the turning point in the entire show, and switching the perspective and switching everything that you think the show is about, but really much turning it on its head. And this episode really much does that. Because now taking that pin out of, let's go back to Loki and Mobius. What is going on with them now? This becomes a very hectic thing because, of course, Mobius now, you know, I actually thought he was going to get out of it, but gets pruned, and I almost had tears running through my eyes. I was like, no, I wanted him to get his jet ski. But of course, they take Loki, they take Sylvie, they take him up to the Timekeepers. There's some guards up there guarding them. We get our first glimpse of the Timekeepers, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god. So first I thought it was going to be Kang, because I've been saying I really do believe Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror has to show up in Loki. You know, I know we all said Mephisto had to show up in WandaVision, so I'm not like 100% sure he will, but I think, why would he show up in Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumanium first, and not another big series or event like that? I gotta imagine he'd be this, especially with the connection with Renslayer. I'm putting too many things together. But my pieces are getting a little bit closer to there, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But, you know, it gets down to this moment, and of course Hunter B-19, who everyone's looking for, she comes up, takes off their necklaces. It is not reversed anymore. It is free game. The Lokis are going at it. They slay out the security guards. Sylvie destroys, of course, that Renslayer, knocks her out, and it's just the Timekeepers and Lokis at this point. And they have some nice conversation, but of course Sylvie has no time. She throws that sword, cuts that motherfucker's head off, and it's a robot. They start laughing. They just completely stop working. It's like you're at Disneyland and the ride just shuts down. You're just sitting there like, well, what the hell would we do now? That's exactly how Loki and Sylvie were. And just for that instant, I sat there going, holy shit, they're fucking robots. So who created them? Kang? Mephisto? I don't know, but I need to know who you guys think created them, because that just, again, opened a completely different wormhole of thoughts and theories and all sorts of things like that. Going from there, though, of course, Loki and Sylvie have that nice conversation where, you know, Mobius started getting it out of Loki, and pretty much Loki, we can see that there's this special connection, this love that Loki might have for himself. And I think one of the things that it's really built up is that everyone has always told Loki that he's alone in this world. And it's tragic. I think some of the best elements of all the Thor franchises is Loki. And it sucks that he's not going to be in Love and Thunder, because it's going to miss that aspect. But really much that Loki relationship with Thor is some of the best elements. And I think we see a lot of that in here, is that Loki is one of the best characters in the entire MCU. And I've always really liked him, but I think the show has really much dove deeper and more sincere into this character. And even though, yeah, some people might think it's a little bit weird that he's falling in love with himself, it makes sense in the context that they are writing the story, and if that's the way that they're actually taking it, because he never really finished his words, it's all hinted at, but that's the way at least I'm taking it. And of course, he's about to tell her, but I knew right then and there he was going to get pruned. And I'm sitting there, I'm literally like, the last 10 minutes, once they got up to the Timekeepers, I was standing up, hyped, sitting there like, what is going to go on And them having that conversation is one of the biggest key parts of this entire episode. And I really just sat there in awe. And of course, then he gets pruned. Sylvie takes her out and she says, "You are going to tell me everything." And that's where the episode ends. But as I thought, there was going to be an end credit scene. I was like, there's a little bit more left in the credits than I thought in the end credit scene, unless there was one more that I missed, because I shut it off after that so I could talk about the damn episode. If there was, please let me know, because I always try to scroll through them. This was the biggest part, was of course Loki wakes up. I knew he wasn't dead. Like, I was like, I could see them maybe changing it to Lady Loki being the main character for the rest of the show, but I was like, there's no way. There's a couple scenes of Loki that we haven't seen yet from the trailers, and that's where he wakes up. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, where's Richard E. Grant? He has been casted in this show, and then I ate my words, because he's in that Loki getup from the comic books, guys. So my theory of him probably playing a variant of Loki is correct. Maybe he's just wearing a costume, but it looked like we had someone holding a hammer. I couldn't remember the guy in the middle too well. And then, of course, Richard E. Grant. And it said special guest Richard E. Grant. I'm like, fuck yeah, I got it right. And that's where it ends. Next week, seriously, cannot come any sooner. This was, again, hands down one of the best episodes that Marvel has produced yet. I love this episode to death, and I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking Loki every week. Comment down below your guys' theories, your thoughts, where did I get wrong? And one of the little things I did like is when Mobius is like, hey, we've even brought in vampires before. And I'm like, Blade? Please? Soon? I know he's casted. Let's see that, guys. Thank you guys again so much for clicking on this. You guys are seriously all the best. I have a blast doing this every single week, and I cannot wait to read your guys' comments and comment back and have a great conversation. So, of course, until next time, stay classy.